all started back in 2014. I was planning on taking my 24 in Ophir. It was the first time I ever decided to not take it in Takatna, and that year the trail was just awful. No snow, and it's just nasty. And I pulled into here and was doing my regular chores and stuff, and I think it was hours before I left, I saw a Fat Tire bike parked right outside the checkpoint building
on
or
that
the cabin.
Yeah,
and I've always been fascinated with endurance sports, so I took a picture of the bicycles. I thought, oh, I'd love to do that someday when I, can't afford the dogs anymore. I could still enjoy the trail doing something like that. And then I went inside because I wondered who did the bike belong to, because I wanted to ask them how their trail was and stuff like that. And then opened the door, and it's a very small building in there. And I picked Andy out right away, not just because he's incredibly good looking, but because he had the least amount of clothes on, and the only way you're going to stay warm in that amount of clothes is if you're moving constantly. So I'm like, that's got to be the biker guy.
I was enamored with everybody doing the Iditarod. I always always paid attention to the Iditarod since I was in elementary school and kind of grew up with it. And so I was having the enjoyable ride. Biking was really easy. It was dirt and ice. It was fantastic. I was inside that cabin next to the wood stove. I don't know what I was doing, probably chatting up people, and here comes the famous, or infamous, Alaska famous Berington twins, and I picked them out because, well, I followed Iditarod, and started asking me questions about endurance sports and how it was riding the bike. And before I know it, Kristy and I got our picture taken together. Well, she was on the other side. We're just kind of like this, and it's a really special picture of both of us, her in her braids and her blue headband as usual. And they went on their way to finish their 24. I waited till the next morning, continued up the trail, finally made to as far as Galena before the weather got too bad for me, and that's as far as I went that year. And I think after it was all done, we exchanged a picture or two, and that was it.
And then I realized, it just asking general questions about it. It's like, oh, he lives in Anchorage, and I live in Kasilof. That's a long ways away. And then in 2015, the start got moved to Fairbanks. And so we were up there, and Fairbanks did a great job, and they always have their ice sculptures and stuff. And there was a big, beautiful one of a dog team, and I wanted a picture of it. So I took a picture of it, and I looked at the picture to see if it came out good. And there was a corner of a Fat Tire bike in the shot, and I was like, oh, and I looked up, and I see someone that's going to bike it, and I was like, cool. And I went over to his friend, who at the time it was Jay Cable he was staying with, and I was like, is that guy going to bike all the way? And he had his back turned to me, Andy did. And he's like, I don't know, ask him. And he seemed kind of crabby. He was like, okay, I guess I will go ask him. So I walked over and I said, hey, and then he turned around and I was like, Andy. So I was shocked to see him again.
And I was like, Kristy! And yes, it was. I was so happy that it was. So
yeah, he had a 50-50 chance on guessing who it was.
Chatted up a little bit about how long maybe it might take and when I'd be leaving. I left a day ahead of the mushers just to get a jump on because I wanted to see them out on the trail.
And I thought I would see him out on the trail, but I never did. So I thought, and it got to 63 below. I thought maybe bikes don't work at 63 below, and he went home. I was like, oh, that's awful. And so I got to know him, and I just shot him an email, be like, oh, bummed to get to see you on the trail. I'm sure you had a great journey wherever you ended up and stuff. And minutes later, I got a response that says, I'm in Elam. So
I had so receptive.
Yeah, I tried so hard to switch my flight around so I could see him come in. I just had this feeling like, you gotta see this guy come in. And then I couldn't, unfortunately, stay that long because I needed to get home to take care of my dogs.
Yeah. So I proceeded up the trail as normal, and for me it was super amazing to come into Nome and got my picture under the Burled Arch and everything. And I got my flight out of Nome, got back home, and sent Kristy some messages, arranged for a kennel tour, and actually got to spend more time talking to her one-on-one. She harnessed up a bunch of dogs, attached to a four-wheeler, went around the neighborhood a couple times on her local trails.
I think God was going to keep introducing us to each other until somebody did something about it, so I'm glad that Andy did reach out and be like, hey, any chance I could have a kennel tour?
Yeah. So that was my way in of breaking the ice. To get a kennel tour. It was fantastic.
He took me on a Fat Tire bike ride so I could see a little part of his world.
Yeah, that was a really beautiful day.
And we found ourselves wanting to do something together every weekend. And
yeah, hiked a lot of mountains together.
Got married in July. And now we're here. And we kind of joke that we're taking our honeymoon here in Nome on the white sandy beaches, but there will be an actual honeymoon in a tropical location.